All right, so it happened. Kyle Kulinski did hit the 1 million subscriber mark. Pretty massive milestone. So big congrats to him. Big shouts out to him. I think he just hit it a couple of days ago. It's a huge, absolutely huge milestone. Just another one of his big accomplishments. Honestly, I would say that the 1 million subscriber mark kind of pales in comparison to his other accomplishments. Like, for example, Justice Democrats, obviously the biggest one. And, we wouldn't even know who AOC is, without Justice Democrats, without him, right? So it's like, this honestly pales in comparison to that. So big congratulations to him. Big shout out to him. That's a big deal. I know that, the other channels like Majority Report and Jimmy Dore and stuff have already hit it. So he's a bit late. His channel was stagnating a lot. A lot of people who watch this channel and a lot of people who don't watch this channel, but who were previously or still are Kyle Kulinski fans, feel like that the quality of the channel has gone down. And after watching some of his recent content, I think I would agree. And so I've already given some breakdowns as to kind of why his channel has gone downhill. But I've been thinking about it more and then watching his videos recently. Just watching a couple of his videos recently, it kind of sparked, I started thinking about it more. And so I kind of came up with some more explanations for this. So I kind of wanted to put it in a video and talk about it. So he hit this massive milestone, and his channel has actually been growing at a pretty solid rate for some reason. I'm not sure why. I was hypothesizing maybe it was a Joe Rogan bump, but that was a month ago. I think he went on Joe Rogan. The Joe Rogan bump usually gives like 30,000 extra subscribers. But he's up in views, almost 10 million a month, which is a solid number. 10,000 subscribers for the last 30 days. Keep in mind we're in an off year election wise, so these are the down times for typically for news channels, and we don't have Trump. So once Trump leaves and there's no election going on, it's a huge depression on content, or views, I should say, not content, but content too, right? And he got 10,000 in the last 30 days, so he's just been gaining a ton. I don't know where all these subscribers are coming from. And then you can see here, it's like a monthly gain subscriber count has just been pretty consistently positive. You can see like the solid growth numbers. Whereas for a while he was losing, like he was literally losing subscribers or staying stagnant. So his channel is rebounding and it's kind of boosting up. But, what exactly has gone down in terms of Kyle Kulinski's channel? Because I think most of the people on this channel would agree, who are watching my channel would agree, that his channel has gone downhill. Not that it's a bad channel, that's not what we're saying at all, but just that it's gone downhill from before. And so I think I have some reasons. And I think there was even like a poll I had posted on the community tab where people had basically said that, the Majority Report was a better show, which I never thought I would see happen on my channel, because obviously my channel is going to have mostly people who are fans of him, but the tide has really shifted, right? And so essentially the biggest reason I think is he's just overworked and he's overstretched. And so he's doing both this and his Krystal Kyle and Friends podcast, make it really difficult for him to manage both. I think for the KKF podcast, I think he has to be in like a DC or something, I think is where they record. And I think his studio that he paid a bunch of money for is in New York. So you'll see him recording videos of him like lying down in his bed. And it's just like, it lacks a lot of professionality and that kind of thing. Where you could say like, oh, he lacked professionality in a lot of areas in the past, but that was never the kind of thing that he lacked. He always had like a nice studio, a good setup, like always that kind of thing. He even had three microphones at one point, dude, 3 mics. Okay, that's, what I mean? Like that's how much he cared about the audio. But all jokes aside, that like he took it seriously, and it just kind of comes off as lazy and that kind of thing. But I don't think it's actually laziness. I think it's literally just his supply lines are just so stretched to the point where it's just like he just doesn't have the time to be able to do that. And so he literally has to record. And, in the video, he's using a Blue Yeti microphone, which like a Blue Yeti microphone is not the quality that a channel with 1 million subscribers and as big as he is and has his influence. The Blue Yeti is not a bad mic, but it's not a microphone he should be using. It should be a Shure SM7B or the Electro Voice 30, whatever. But that's just microphone for a channel like my size, for example. That's a good microphone for a channel my size, right? We're 70,000 subscribers, whatever. Like that's it. That's a microphone for my channel size, right? And so that's a big deal. And I think he's also kind of become more industry. And I think that was the biggest thing for Kyle, like the sort of appeal for his channel, was that he was like this very anti-industry guy who was just no connections whatsoever. He had some connections obviously with other commentators, but that was about it. He didn't have like these super political connections with politicians and stuff like that. I mean, Bernie didn't even come on his show to talk to him. Like he didn't have all of that stuff. And so with the start of JDEMS, he starts building his relationships and stuff. But like I saw that he and Krystal were present at the Marianne Williamson launch. So he's becoming more industry, where it's like he's going from just being this kind of, commentator who's, from his, studio kind of talking real, just nothing but fully realness, all realness coming at you 100%. And it's just not like that anymore. He's more industry now. He's buddies with Joe Rogaine, so he's going to, blow him dry, right? That's what he's going to do, because ultimately, like, he's going to defend him to the death. He didn't really have those kinds of tetherings before, where it's like, there's like these certain people where you just have these connections with, and you're just down with 100%. And he didn't have those connections, and so I think that takes away from the appeal of a channel like Secular Talk. If it was already kind of like a channel where that was kind of the accepted understanding was, hey, he's this insider guy, he's got these deep connections he's not willing to tether or like to be critical of, then it would be different. But the brand of Secular Talk was always a very sort of a channel that had a high sense of immediacy. It felt very, direct, real, authentic. And he's just kind of lost all of that. Now, everyone develops, right? And that's fine. And so I think expecting him to be the same as he was before is ridiculous. I mean, my channel has changed a lot, obviously. You can just see it from the content base, not only from the videos, but just kind of the analysis and stuff. I didn't know anything, just even like pretty much the whole time until like maybe like 1 or 2 years ago is when I actually learned something. So everything is just completely different, right? But, so that's, I think, kind of why people are disappointed. Also, I just think that Kyle's analysis of things and his knowledge bases, I think he's convinced, I think he thinks that, like, because of the supremacy clause in the Constitution, that, like, no matter what the circumstance, if there's a federal statute and a state statute, the federal statute always supersedes no matter what. But the supremacy clause first requires the federal statute to be legal. And so the federal government doesn't have the power to do literally whatever it wants. It has to have the constitutional power to do so. But I think he thinks like, no, like any law that the federal government passes, any statute, it just like supersedes the state statute. But it's just like, anyways, just a bunch of stuff like that. But I think a lot of those people they've leveled up. And so I think Kyle should kind of stay at that level. I think ultimately that is kind of his thing. I don't think he's like the super breakdown kind of guy, like the super intellectual breakdown kind of guy. I think he's the more immediate kind of upfront person that you're going to get the content from. And I think that that's fine. I think he should play that role, and that's him, and you shouldn't try to change him, I think. And so those people, I think, need to level up to a more substantive channel, like Sam Cedar, for example, or maybe like a Rational National or Humanist Report, those kinds of places. Or, David Pakman is like intelligent, but a lot of his content will just end up being like covering like Trump's like bowel movements and stuff like that. So there's not too much substance there, but he's obviously a very intelligent dude, besides that. And so even if he's talking about Trump's bowel movements, he might be explaining them in like very intelligent ways, saying, oh, it's like post hoc reasoning or blah, 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 whatever. It's post hoc ergo propter hoc or whatever, stuff like that, right? But so I think ultimately, for people who are like that, like I think you just have to move on and kind of find something that fits what you're looking for more, because I think he just doesn't fit. And so you kind of compromise with the Majority Report. You're going to kind of compromise entertainment value to some extent, although they do have good entertainment value. I think you're going to compromise that. His analysis his video content seems to be kind of like sloppy and lazy. Again, just because I think he's just super overworked is what I think. And honestly, credit to his work ethic, because honestly, I don't know how people keep up with this stuff, because I just like got so burnt out from this kind of stuff, because it just becomes the same old stuff over and over again. And the way the media is set up is the viewers only want like drama content all around the media. And it's just like, who wants to do that? You know what I mean? It's much more interesting to actually learn about actual things about politics or economics or whatever, and talk about those kinds of things, or, in an academic sense, going to school and stuff like that. And so, I guess his ability to stick to that, I have like, a lot of respect for sure. And so it just kind of, I think he also doesn't really meet the emotional needs of his core audience either. And so that creates a lot of dissent. When you're not able to meet those emotional needs that your audience has, like, live streams and responding to fans, reading comments, he doesn't do any of that stuff. And so I think people are going to get angry, rightfully so, I would say. And so I would say undeniably his show has gone down in quality, like significantly. The biggest reason is he's just overworked. He's overstretched his supply lines, and so the quality of his channel just isn't as high as it used to be, period. He's just doing too much with KKF and all the other stuff. He's turned very industry now. He has these like annoying connections that he won't stop having connection with, like Marianne Williamson or Joe Rogan or whatever. He's kind of gone more from the independent commentator to this guy with like this faux independent commentator with these really weird ties, some of them emotional, other of them legit ties, like Marianne Williamson. And it takes away from his appeal and all that stuff. But I just thought I'd make this video. Something I was thinking about recently, and using a Blue Yeti microphone, what I mean, at 1 million subscribers, like, come on, bro. Like, I should be using the Blue Yeti, not you. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.